Hello and welcome. This is episode 17. This is Byron and Giselle, your host, and we're very happy to have you here. Today we're going to talk about habits, subconscious mind, conscious mind, and project management. Byron, on to
Ooh.
you.
Buenos dias, Ismana. Yes, welcome back, everybody. And project management, that's going to be a very topic close to my heart and that I can definitely share with you.
Yes.
So, welcome back, everybody, to our channel. And so, Giselle, how would you like to start?
Well, I think it's very important actually that you understand, you, the viewer listener, understand how habits are created, first of all, because just on the background, before we recorded, Byron and I, we were talking about what's the relationship between habits and project management, good project management, right? And habits just was just the theme, right? It also has to do with choices. But what a lot of people don't really know, just because they weren't trained about this, is that habits actually lie in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is what holds habits,
Yes.
not the conscious mind. Okay, that is actually why, say, when a person wants to break a habit, say a habit that doesn't support the person or is not congruent with what the person wants to achieve, and it's really bothering this person, because say the habit of perhaps eating too much or eating out of hours, right? And really the person is conscious that this habit is detrimental to his or her health. But however, it doesn't seem to be able to break the habit and just keeps on doing it. It also same, when someone wants to break off the habit of, say, smoking, drinking alcohol, etc., breaking off an addiction, and the person just self-talk to himself or herself saying, okay, from now on, I'm not going to be a smoker, or I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to have more alcohol, etc. And it doesn't work. And it's very frustrating. And that happens because they are not addressing the habit at the level where it needs to be addressed, which is at the subconscious mind level. By the way, Byron and myself, we are also hypnotherapists. I'm an instructor, and that's why we can talk to you about this. It's the structure, right? So then habits actually, they live in the subconscious mind. However, they are created first at the conscious mind level, and then it gets stored, packed in the subconscious mind. And Byron mentioned something very interesting just behind the scenes, just before we started recording. He talked about how good project management has to do with good habits. It's just those habits that will make you carry on with a project to success. So, Byron, can you please share more about this? You're the expert on this. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you for introducing that and leading me into the discussion in this way. Indeed, um, the challenge with projects compared to daily operational work is that you know where you're starting roughly, and you know where you want to finish.
Mm.
What you don't know is how you're going to get from the start to the finish. The
Mm-hmm.
path is either not very clear, or if it is clear, it might be full of obstacles and uncertain events that will derail you. So every project manager has to plan a path that is going to be as predictable as possible so
Mm.
that I can do a project as if I was doing something for the 2000th time, that it wouldn't be a surprise. Well, how do you
Byron,
do that?
yes, how do you do that? So, Byron, you mentioned something before we started recording. You said project work is all about habits, so it can become predictable.
Yes, that's the predictability side of it,
Mm-hmm.
is to create a system of processes that is going to make your path from beginning to end as predictable as possible. So, for example, if you want to make sure people are doing the work that they've been tasked with, one simple way is to ask them. But if you're going to pick up the phone and ask every member of your team, what have they done, it's going to be very time consuming and you'll never have enough time in a day to do that. So a habit that can become effective at making this information come across clearly is to have a regular meeting every morning. You might start the day at 9 o'clock with a little 15-minute meeting and ask everybody the same 3 questions. So what have you done since the last time we met? What are you planning to do until the next time we meet? What are your issues, your impediments, your obstacles? And everybody can share that in 1 to 2 minutes. So in 15 minutes, boom, you have everybody on the same page. And doing that once is okay. Doing that every day is the habit. And that's what makes the journey more predictable. And people are going to resist it at first until it becomes a habit. Can you imagine the first couple of weeks what it's going to be like? Oh, we have to go to the office at 9 o'clock every day, and we have to have this meeting. There's going to be a lot of resistance, a lot of conscious resistance, until they do it for 3-4 weeks, and then they realize that, oh, that's how the day begins. It just becomes habitual.
Yeah. So for you who is listening and watching this video, ask yourself about something that perhaps it was daunting, or maybe you thought, oh, this is stressful. But then as you created the habit of doing it, and then you started enjoying it, and then you reinforce the habit, what kind of results you created, right? Because habits actually cross all our lives. We are habitual creatures. We are, or we can say, we are creatures of habit, right? And you said something, Byron, that I really loved. And you said that work or whatever task that we do gotta be habitual and predictable. And then that processes and systems then can become very smooth and it can be seamless.
Yes.
Across a team. Can you give us an example on how you achieve this with your teams or with the teams that you train, companies that you train, please?
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly the reason why I have work, is because companies want to achieve exactly that result. Like, for example, I was working in a systems integration company, and they were expanding from South Africa around the world. And since I'm in Asia, one of the big places of expansion was in Asia. And they wanted to make sure that everybody in Asia across 14 different countries would do the same, use the same processes for the different projects that they were doing. So how do you get to that level of consistency? Well, number one, make sure everybody knows that this is what they have to do. So there was a big awareness campaign telling everybody that's on projects, here's the process, here are the systems to use, go to this website, read these documents. This is where you access it. So don't come and ask me where to get the information. It's there. Then step number 2, get people trained. So explain to them in detail what happens at each step of the way, have them do it, ask questions, run into problems, get clarifications. And then over time and distance, you'll notice that people start to have a higher level of consistency, even in 2 different countries, speaking 2 different languages. They're basically running the project the same way. It's not going to be identical, but at least you can recognize that, oh, okay, you're following this particular project management system with its processes. So awareness is the first step. At least show people what it is and where it is. And then the second step is get them to learn it and then use it, make mistakes with it, follow up with fine-tuning sessions. And then eventually you'll see that your overall project management maturity will start to increase because people are working like really like one hive, as opposed to working like a bunch of individuals that are just trying to be the superheroes of their project.
Yeah, I love what you said. And actually, what I got from your sharing is, so it is okay to make mistakes because you want to test. And
today everybody agrees that the path to success is the fastest way through failure. The path to success goes through failure. This has been inculcated in us for many generations now, but today I think companies everywhere, no matter what they're doing, understand it. I mean, our friends in Japan with the lean manufacturing paradigm taught us that fail faster, fail sooner, so that you can learn faster and then you can get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is actually a big shift in paradigm, because for most part, it doesn't matter where we come from in the world, upbringing tells us, a lot of us, for most of the time, it is actually not a good thing to make mistakes. And actually mistakes are, in a way, avoided. However, mistakes are great. It's a great platform to learn, as you mentioned, Byron. So then you said, okay, so have clarity, right, among the team, right? Then you have to train people, test that they have the clarity. Then you get the team to a higher level of consistency. They are allowed to make mistakes, to fine tuning, and then that increases results.
Yes.
Right? That's fantastic. And I really hope that you appreciate this wonderful information that Byron is an insider. Yeah. Tip from Byron to you. And so, Byron, question for you. What determines success in the project then at the end?
Yeah, that's a key question. And I want to give the official answer and then the effective answer. So the official answer of project success would be simply, well, you did what you were supposed to by the date that it was asked for and within your budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I say you did what you were supposed to, you gave the deliverables, the things that the customer wanted at the level of quality that they expected by the end date that was asked, and they didn't spend more than they wanted to. Okay, great. So that's the official answer of project success. But the effective answer to project success is that the value of the project was achieved. And I'll give you an example from my hometown of Montreal. There was this big project to create a new international airport 45 minutes outside of the city. And the intention was to have a high-speed train between the existing airport, which was in the city, and this new airport. So they spent billions of dollars creating this new airport and setting it up. And guess what? Let's say, I don't remember the details, but let's say that they finished the airport on time. It was a dismal failure because the value to the travelers was not achieved. And why? Because there was a delay in getting the high-speed train connecting the two airports. So nobody wanted to drive 45 minutes to just go from a domestic flight to an international flight.
Oh, wow.
And therefore, we ended up with a white elephant.
Oh, wow.
So if you ask the people that did the project, they said it was a success. But the community can say very clear that it was a failure because it did not produce the value that it was supposed to.
Wow, this is powerful. Thank you for answering that, Byron. And we wonder, what do you get out of this sharing? And how can you apply it? Because we are sharing, so you get to actually applying it, results. Now, talking about habits and choices. How can we put these two together to make our life projects, our company's project, successful? What would you say, Byron?
Well, it starts, I think, with the individual. I've already given an example about how a team can make choices that are habitual. For example, meeting every morning at 9 and doing that consistently. An extension of that example would be to have a weekly call with the customer and make that a habit so the customer can expect regularly the updates. They won't be like, oh, where are these people? They haven't told me what's going on in 3 weeks. So that is organizationally creating habits. And then we can take a step back and say, okay, well, what does the individual need to do to make that a reality? And the reality, to make it a reality, the individual also needs to make choices that are more habitual in nature. So let me give a quick sports example to illustrate the point. So I swim a lot, and I have been swimming for many years. And when I'm in the pool and I'm going from one end of the pool to the other, one would think that I am thinking about my stroke. And it's true, I do think about it for a while. But then, because my mind has done that so many times, I don't know how many thousands of strokes I have done, I don't think about swimming anymore after a while. In fact, I can think about something completely unrelated to swimming for most of my swim. I could be in the pool for 1,000 meters and I might think about swimming for like 100 meters. The rest of the time, my mind is not there. But my body is moving and I'm moving quite effectively through the water. So how's that possible? That's the power of the subconscious mind. So if we take that analogy from swimming and implement it in our daily work, this is what we're talking about. Getting to a point where you make a choice to do something, and then there's this whole system and set of processes that subconsciously kick in and do most of it. And your conscious mind is just there steering traffic, like making sure that the information is going in the right place and that things are being picked up. That's what creates personal effectiveness and then can lead to team effectiveness.
Nice. I love that. And it's like also like driving a car in a different part of the world. Say if you are used to, in your country, you're used to driving on the left side, then you go to a country when you have to drive on the right side, you can do it. And you can just thrive through it. And this applies not just in your business, it applies across life. Just before recording, Byron and I were talking about the TOTE, NLP, test, operate, test, exit, that it's also perfect for relationships, right? So you test, operate, test, and if that relationship didn't work, well, then time to say goodbye. You don't dwell on it too long.
And since we're talking about business, those relationships can be directly related to customers and vendors. So for example, you test with one vendor, you operate, you test again with the same vendor, you realize this is not working. Bye. The relationship with that vendor gone. And I know it's more difficult to do that with customers because they're obviously paying our salaries and our bills. However, nobody wants to work with a nasty customer long term. So you get to choose also who to work with. In finishing, I want to touch upon one additional point. So a lot of people that are, let's say, in the early stages of their career or their businesses, and they're listening to us, will probably find what we've just mentioned quite insightful and relevant. However, I do appreciate that we have probably seasoned professionals and seasoned business people on the watching us as well and listening to the podcast. To them, I would say that you're not done. In fact, you're never done. So maybe you have the core processes, but ask yourself the question, is that at 100% efficiency? And the answer usually, if not always, is no. It can always get better. And that brings up the context of continual improvement, which is a whole topic in itself. And there'll be plenty of opportunities to discuss that going forward in future episodes.
Correct. Yeah, you're never out of choices. So having said that, thank you so much. Really hope that you enjoyed, you found value on the sharing. And on the next episode, we will talk more about habits, because if we're talking about professional excellence, congruency, that professional congruency excellence actually comes from individual excellence. How can you improve, take that personal excellence to the next level so that you can serve better within your organization? So leave us your comment here. And thank you for subscribing, by the way, and giving this video a thumbs up. Forgot about saying that in the last video. But anyway, thank you. It does help us grow.
For those of you watching us for the first time or listening to us for the first time, we invite you to go to the channel, Soul Freedom's Journey, and have a look. You can either watch us on YouTube or you can listen/watch us on Spotify, so that in case we have a visual to show you, you can just go and look at the video and then go back to listening to the audio. That's a great way to enjoy this episode fully.
So thank you, Byron. Very insightful. Thank you for being here with us. And we will see you on the next episode.
Magnifico.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
Cismana. We'll see you soon.
Ciao, hermano. Bye-bye. Thanks.